If you're watching this video, you're probably going through a pretty tough time right now. You probably feel like the walls are closing in and that everything is falling apart right in front of you. And as scary as that may sound for even me to say that, I just encourage you to keep watching because this is the video that I wish I had when I went through that process. See, I had a company that I had created and ran for 6 years. And at first, everything was great. We were getting a bootstrap product off the ground, but we were never able to turn the corner. And so we were constantly fighting fires and trying to find where the next influx of cash would come from. For so long, I was able to run on just pure adrenaline and get the next round of funding from angel investors, new partners, signing new deals. And I kept it going for such a long time. And in that process, I put everything into that business. I named it, created the products, created all of the branding. It was the full expression of my creativity. All of my hopes and dreams were put on this company that I'd sunk so much of my time into. I just simply could not face the fact that I might have to close the business. And that fear of failure consumed me and completely controlled my entire life. I was having sleepless nights, panic attacks. I had so many fears about what people would think of me, people who had invested in me, people who believed in me, people on my payroll. All of these worst case scenarios constantly ran through my head. It prevented me from thinking clearly, and it really ruined my life. And I believe that that is the trap that we get into in placing our identity and our hopes in the wrong place. And so once it became completely unavoidable that I had to close everything down, that I owed too much to too many people, and that the whole system was falling apart and breaking, and I actually went through that process, it was literally the exact opposite of everything that I had feared it would be. As soon as I started calling people, my customers, my vendors, my clients, and telling them that I was shutting down, I was overwhelmed with so much understanding and support. Everyone came out of the woodwork, not to point their finger, not to shame me, but to acknowledge and honor what I had built. And all of that weight and that pressure that I put on myself just fell off. And it was truly anticlimactic. And so now, looking back, here's what I wish I had known while I was going through that process. That the whole season leading up to me having to close the business, I was operating out of a survival and fear-based mindset. And just like when you're learning how to ski, you crash when you're afraid and you pull back. It is a natural reaction to pull away from what you're afraid of. But what you're actually doing is you're losing control the more you pull back. And instead, what you need to be doing is pressing in and facing that fear, because when you press in, that's when you gain traction. That's when you have the maximum amount of control and can pivot and make the right moves to get yourself out of trouble. So if you're in trouble right now, focusing and letting fear control you is only going to worsen your situation right now. And all of those external fears about what others are going to think of you, about how this is going to affect your identity, all of those fears are not from God. And you need to realize that you're placing your identity in the wrong thing, and that letting go of that allows you to switch from pulling back to leaning in and not being afraid to make the right decisions you need to be making right now. We often construct these stories and these narratives about ourselves, about who we think we are and who we think others perceive us to be. But instead of being beneficial to our goals and aspirations, they often are detrimental and box us into believing a false narrative about the world and about how we're perceived. Because what you don't realize is that the people who care about you and who love you are not waiting for you to achieve some arbitrary goal before they show you their affection. Anybody who's waiting on your future results to judge you is not somebody that you're even concerned with judging you in the first place. And so if you are to close down in the future, what you'll see is that people don't care. They care about what you've done already and are proud of you for that. And I have to stress the mental component to all of this, because I'm sure even in watching this video, you're coming up with all sorts of reasons why your situation is different. Your situation is dire because your daughter has this payment that's going to be coming up, or this is your mortgage, or this person, you're going to be putting their family out on the streets. And you have to realize that none of that is actually true, because none of that is actually happening right now. All of that is just thoughts in your mind. And I believe this is more than just a mental battle. I believe it's a spiritual battle as well, that you're allowing all of those thoughts to take hold in your mind and control your actions today. We don't know what's going to happen. And whatever happens tomorrow will happen tomorrow. But all you can control is what is happening now. And the best thing for you to do now is be not operating out of fear. If you can become unbound by fear, you truly become unstoppable, because the person who faces fear and gives it no power cannot be controlled. And you are freed up to think clearly, to make the right decisions now. Everything may not be all roses, but what I do know for a fact is it will not be even 1% as bad as what your mind is telling you it will be. If you have a business and you've brought something into existence, you've already achieved what so many people dream about doing their whole lives and can't do. That alone is a huge accomplishment. I don't know whether you're going to have to close down your business or if you're going to be able to turn it around. But what I do know is that you are going to go through a difficult season. And on the other side of that, you're going to come out stronger and better and wiser as a result of what you've gone through. And if you do end up having to close down your business, what's on the other side of that, I guarantee will be greater than what you're working on right now. Because that is just the nature of going through something like this. You're able to take all of those lessons, set it aside, get instant clarity on what mistakes you made, to where the next project, the next thing you work on is probably twice, 5 times, 10 times as big. Your story is not over, and mine certainly wasn't. If this has helped you in any way, I'd love if you could leave a comment, or you can reach out to me directly. I wish you the best.